Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited about today's review. We're talking about the Shimoda Explorer version 2 35-liter backpack. I've had this bag for over a month now. I got it through the Kickstarter campaign, so this is an unbiased review. I paid for it like everyone else. And I have been stoked about reviewing this since I got the bag. It is a good looking, cool bag. It's extraordinarily comfortable. The storage capacity is wonderful. It's 6 inches deep, which means you can stand up most of your DSLR lenses vertically, which is just an extremely efficient way to do it. And it can put my Nikon D850 full frame body vertically with that 6-inch clearance. So it is just has been a wonderful bag. And if you stop right here and that's all you watch the video, go buy this bag. It's great. I mean, I just think it's a wonderful bag and pretty reasonably priced compared to the competition. So that's my review, but let's get into some of the details and talk a little bit about why I like the bag. The first thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was this concept of a Kickstarter campaign and what that means. And I don't want to go into too much inference here based on things I don't really know about the culture of the company. But I'll tell you what I do know. It was started by Ian Miller, this guy who used to be at F-Stop Bags in a senior leadership position. He moved over, he started his own company. They launched Shimoda Bags a couple years ago, and they launched it through a Kickstarter, and it was really successful. But then they come to version 2 of these bags, this version, and they still chose the Kickstarter campaign. And to me, I don't know the economics, the financial, balance sheet of that and why they would do that. But one of the reasons what I think that suggests to me is that there's still a culture of innovation, creative innovation within Shimoda. And I'm seeing that come out in the way that they're both producing the bag, but also in the way that they're responding to issues that develop around the bag. And just one example of that, for tall people like me, even with a 35-liter pack, even with an adjustable harness system, which I'll talk about in a second, at the highest setting, this bag doesn't quite fit people with a long torso. So the waist straps end up a little bit higher than you want them to be. And that's an issue. It just feels a little off. Now, they've taken the initiative, recognizing that, to come up with a solution. They've created an extender that basically extends the length of the backpack strap so that the bag can sit a little bit lower and it can sit on your waist. But the way that they do that is they just come up with a solution, they iterate, they innovate, they send it out to a bunch of testers. I'm one of those testers, so I should be receiving those straps soon. And then we test it and provide them feedback, and then they may put this into production. Maybe they'll offer it for free, maybe they'll charge a small amount of money for it. I don't really know, but it'll be a solution to this challenge to make this bag work for everyone, regardless of the size of their body. And another innovation around their strap is that they've created a modular strap system, which is this system here. So these straps actually can disconnect from the backpack, both at the top and the bottom, and you can replace them with different straps. So already, okay, so say these straps get worn out, they get broken, you don't have to buy a new bag, you just buy a new pair of straps and put the straps on. But more importantly, they've created a female version of this strap that's more comfortable for women based on their body shape. So women can get, I think at no extra cost, though there is a delay in shipping, but which is not probably their fault, it's more a COVID thing. But women can get a different type of strap and they can attach it and have a more comfortable experience with the backpack. I mean, why isn't every company doing that, right? But this is such a creative thing that they're doing, and they're innovating and they're iterating on the design concept, and they're doing it real time. And all of that is to say that I think that fits within a general framework. They do a Kickstarter, they're interested in innovation. It's a company that's kind of exploring and trying and experimenting and doing different things. And that's a really cool company to be a part of, right? To kind of subscribe to their ecosystem around their backpack. So I think that's pretty neat. That's just the first thing. The second thing I wanted to talk about was their frame, right? The structure, the frame, the comfort of the backpack. As you will see with my previous reviews, for example, the Atlas bag, comfort, I think, is just about the most important thing when it comes to a backpack. Like, what is the point of a camera bag if it's not comfortable? If you don't want to put the gear that you want to carry in your bag because it weighs too much and it's not going to be comfortable, you're not going to bring that gear and you're not going to have a good experience shooting whatever you're shooting. If you go out and you suffer through putting all that gear into your bag and it's not comfortable and you're aching and your shoulders ache and you can only hike, 10 miles without it aching and then it sucks, it's not a good experience. You don't want that bag. So to me, comfort is the most important thing. And we know from hiking backpacks, which are designed for comfort and hauling stuff, that there's certain attributes of bags that are really great, right? It's like load lifter straps, comfortable shoulder straps, a waist strap, an aluminum or a heavy duty metal plastic frame inside the pack to distribute weight, and comfortable back padding and adjustable straps that can move up and down your torso. And those are really the criteria that, from my perspective, a hiking backpack excels at. And this hits every single one of those criteria, right? It has really comfortable straps. And what makes these straps really comfortable? I think it's the padding for sure, but it's also the design. And if you look at this strap, it's really thin at the top and then it expands out to almost, I don't know, maybe like 4 inches wide around the chest area. And this is different, right? It looks different. There's something going on here, right? What is this? And I think the inspiration's coming from running straps or running backpacks. So if you look at like long distance runners, and I'm not a long distance runner myself, but if you look at long distance runners, what they do is they need to carry some food, like gel packs, and they need to carry water with them, right? And the way that they do it is they wear these straps that look very, very similar. It's like a very low profile backpack that distributes the weight. It gets wider in the torso, thinner at the top, and they can store their stuff in there in a very low profile way that distributes the weight really well. And I think that's where the innovation's coming from here. These straps are doing exactly the same thing. I've heard them described as hugging your body, and that's exactly what they feel like. They are wide in exactly the right place. It feels like you are being hugged from behind with a nice warm hug, and it is a wonderful feeling when you put on your backpack, especially when it's loaded with 20 pounds of gear. And I think it comes down to the design of the strap more than the padding that's on the strap. Now, the other benefit of having a wider strap here is that you can put in these pockets. So this is one pocket on the left side, and then on the right side there's actually this expandable pocket, which is pretty creative, though probably not necessary. And so it expands, and this is what I use to hold my phone, for example. This is what I use to hold a microphone when I'm hiking a lavalier mic like this one. So honestly, this innovation has provided a lot of benefits. We're going to have to stop there because it's time for me to hang out with my son for an hour before he goes down for a nap. I'll be back in a second. All right, folks. Well, hung out with my son, put him down for a nap, and I'm back. So that's the deal with the harness. That's the deal with the padding on the straps. The next thing I wanted to talk about was just the attributes that make a camera bag or any bag really comfortable beyond the straps. And that's things like load lifters, which are these. You got here. It's the aluminum frame. So you can feel it actually if you grab it. There's a metal frame that is situated in this bag. It goes the entire length of the backpack and it holds it rigid. As you can see here, there's nothing really in the bag at this point, but you can see that it has this rigidity, and that's the aluminum frame that you're seeing there. This bag has an opening on the side right here where you can access the main body and get your camera out through the side. I do not use that right now. I just access it through the back opening because that's really what I need, but I do think it's pretty cool that you can do that. So everything that's nice about the bag are these pockets. So you see there's one on that side and then there's one on this side. And this design of like the pocket that can kind of fold up and be in your bag is pretty cool in the sense that this is like kind of, I don't know, bulbous, and so it takes up a lot of space. And so it's nice to be able to put that in and have a very clean form factor, but then take it out when you need it. I have used this for my tripod. So there is no center mount, tripod holder right here. Typically where you want the tripod on the backpack is you want it in the center of the bag so it's an even weight distribution, and you want it really the weight as low as possible and as close to your back as possible. That's not possible, right, because your camera stuff's there, so you typically put it in the center of the bag on the outside of the pack. The way that Shimoda's handling this is they have these side pockets, and these are designed for a tripod and a water bottle. Now, I appreciate, A, that there's a place to put your water bottle and it can accommodate a full-size Nalgene. I also think it's great from a tripod holder perspective because they've added these straps that are pretty heavy duty. They're pretty heavy duty straps. They're not messing around. They're not like the Peak Design bag, for example, which I found while they stored the tripod in the same place, you're supposed to store it on the side. The Peak Design bag, you know, that tripod was flying around if you had a full-size tripod, and it did not work. It was not well secured. This does not feel that way. I think that's a function of the fact that it has an aluminum stay, so it has that structure in the bag, and it has these good straps. So I have no problems with storing the tripod on the side. I have a very large tripod. It probably goes, it's about this tall. It's aluminum, it's not carbon fiber, so it weighs a fair amount. And it can go in this bag, and it can be secured here, and then I also there's another strap down here that you can use as well. And so you end up having two straps as well as the pocket, and it is a great way to store your tripod. It does not fly around, and it's very stable. The downside is, though, that you now have extra weight on one side of your pack. Because the bag has the aluminum stay, because the straps are so comfortable, I didn't find that to be a huge problem. Like it didn't feel like I was lopsided. I did have to tighten up the shoulder strap on the opposite shoulder to just kind of stabilize the bag a little bit, or be thoughtful about, if I had a Nalgene, for example, put it in the other pocket so that you have a counterweight, just like you would, say, a crane, right, that has additional weight on one side, and you end up having a counterweight on the other side to stabilize that on the fulcrum. It's the same idea here. If your back is kind of the fulcrum, you want to stabilize the tripod weight with something on the other side to counterweight it. The other way I deal with that actually is I have a 150 to 600 millimeter lens, and I put that on the opposite side of the tripod. So, you know, I do have that kind of counterbalancing going on in the pack, and that's just being a little bit more thoughtful about the way that you pack your pack. So these side pockets I think are kind of important. Speaking of pockets, there are a lot of pockets in this bag. There are, dare I say, too many pockets. Can you have too many pockets? I sort of think you can. And I think things get lost in this bag in a way because there's so many places you can store it. But, I mean, I don't know if I really, I'm not complaining about that. There's side pockets where you can put stuff. There's these pockets that I mentioned here, but there are additional pockets here that you can put stuff in there. There's this front pocket here. There's this pocket here, right? There are these sub pockets here. There's a nice, like kind of elastic, you know, divider here. There's an additional pocket there. Then there's the main pocket, which is this one, right? You can open this up. I have my strap in here and the rain cover, which I did use actually when I was on the Cape, and I had a great experience with that. Oh no. This strap is wet, and I'm just realizing that I failed to take this out. I went to the water, the ocean, and I was shooting a dinghy in Marblehead in Massachusetts. That is, it's a very small dinghy with a Christmas tree, and it's on the water, and it's quite quaint and lovely and very New England Christmassy. But I got very low to the ground, and I had my strap on, and and it got a little bit wet in the ocean, and I never took it out, so it's still wet, so that's not great. But you know, you can fit, like, I have my lens hood in here, my little like rocket pump here for air. I've got a ton of pens, headphones, a light, additional straps. I mean, you know, a charger, just like tons of stuff. It's a huge pack. I mean, look at the size of that, right? Like, this is a cavernous pocket. Like, you could definitely do a day pack here, right? Like, you could put your jacket, your clothes, your sandwich, your lunch. You could do it all inside the pack. And if you needed extra space, you strap it on, you lash it onto the outside. And I mean, you could easily do an overnight with this, or a day trip, hiking trip. No question about it. And it's a really well designed pack from that perspective. There's this additional zipper here, which is the back one. And this is yet another storage area, but it's also how you would access the internal frame. And that's what's right here. So There's mesh pockets in here. I mean, the truth is this pack has, I could count them and maybe I should, but probably something close to like 20 pockets. And it's just, it's a plethora of storage options, but I think it's a little overwhelming, and perhaps I would have preferred a single pocket in the top part instead of all these sub pockets. But that's personal preference, and I really don't think that's an issue. And I'd rather have the storage space than not have it. So I think overall, it's actually a really nice feature of the pack. There are also a lot of handholds. So there's one here, there's one at the top, there's one at the bottom, and there's one on the side. That's actually come in use. You know, you put it in the car, you drop it in, you can pull it out like that, and it's quite nice. And what else do I like about this pack? I think the finish is really nice. It's got this like coated, it almost feels like a I mean, it's not, it's a plastic of some sort, like a vinyl, but it's got this matte black vinyl, high denier, like nylon external padding, and it's tasteful. It looks good. I mean, it's a well kind of like sealed and waterproof bag. I did use the rain cover, which is sort of an oversized rain cover, and I used this when I was out on the Cape for two reasons. One, because I wanted to deal with sand, so I didn't want sand to get on the pack. I didn't want it to get inside the zipper pulls and, just inside the zipper tracks. And the other reason is because it did rain a little bit, and I figured why not, be prepared. But I don't even think it was necessary for like a low exposure, kind of like a light rain. I really think you could probably get away with just this coating, which is nice, in a pinch to know that you have that capability. So with that, I think maybe we'll just look finally into the main area here and take a look at that before I give you my final thoughts on the pack. So Shimoda uses an internal camera unit. This is a removable unit that you can choose the right size for you. I chose the medium-sized DSLR, which is perfect for a Holy Trinity combo. When you open up the back of the pack, there's a lot of access because it's a big opening. This is a Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens. It's 10.2 inches long, and it just fits without the lens hood. This is my D850, it's a Nikon, and I can fit it vertically, which is clutch because it means that you can put it on its side and get a lot more storage out of the unit. And you can see it fully clears it, so there's no pain in my back when I'm wearing the bag. The internal dividers, which are pretty nicely designed, they're a rigid sort of fabric coated divider. I have it set in the original setting here, but you can move these around, they're Velcro, and you would need to if you wanted to have side access. The opening for the bag also has a laptop sleeve, so that part's kind of a nice feature. There's no discomfort there. And then finally, I just wanted to show you that you can fit a lens, like a 24 to 70, or in this case, a 105 macro. You can fit that vertically in these lens pockets, which is pretty neat because it means you can store more lenses. All right, so final thoughts. I mean, look, I give this bag a really high rating. I don't have a structured rating system, and I find it to be kind of arbitrary. But I think if I give my honest opinion, the benefit of this bag is it's extremely comfortable. It's the right size for like a full-size pack. I looked at the Mindshift. There's a 36 liter backlight. I looked at their First Light series, a 30 liter. Overall, like, I had the Peak Design bag, I have an Atlas bag. Like, I've looked at a lot of different bags. I've actually bought them and returned them. And my issues with the Mindshift bags were that they were too bulky, and I didn't like the design. It felt like, also the other problem was that you could either do the First Light bag, which was a front opening bag, or you could do the backlight bag, which was a back opening bag, but neither had sort of this like distinguished separate pocket, which is what I wanted. So if you're looking for a bag that can accommodate a lot of camera gear, it can store your additional items either for an everyday carry purpose, like a laptop, or your books or whatever you're bringing to the office or to school or something like that, or whether you're looking at a bag that can accommodate that stuff for an overnight, like as a travel bag, where you're throwing in an extra change of clothes and your toiletries and stuff, that can fit in this bag. Or if you're looking at a camping, hiking bag and you're trying to pull, a little bit of gear for a day trip, I really think this bag can accommodate all of those purposes. So it is extremely versatile and it looks good. And it's not something that you feel like is lumbering around. I think it's just the right balance of depth and capacity. And I think the problem I had with the Mindshift bags is I think they were just like a little too deep. It felt like you were a turtle and you had this giant thing on your back. And the Peak Design bag was good, but it didn't have the structure and it didn't have the right, storage padding and things like that. And then when it came to the Atlas bag, I love that bag. I think it's great. I think the harness system's more comfortable on this one. And I think the Atlas bag is a little more rugged and perhaps better as a hiking bag, just because it feels like you could lash stuff onto it more and it just doesn't feel as nice. And I think honestly that's because I got it used as well. So I think this combination for me of having a used Atlas bag pack that I'm going to use when I'm like throwing on snowshoes and something that's just like going to tear up the bag over time and I just want to rough it up and have a dirty pack and just like crush it, and just not think about the bag. That's the bag to choose in those contexts. And then for everything else, I like this bag, as a daily carry, as one that I take on trips whenever I'm doing car shooting, even for hiking, I plan to use this for landscape photography trips, things like that. And it may be that this bag is actually superior to the Atlas bag in every way, but in my head, it's nice to have a bag that you just use for those rougher occasions, and then have a bag that you use for everything else. And this is the bag for everything else. This is the bag for every application, basically. So I'm very happy with this bag, and I think when the Kickstarter was like $280, I'll check what it is going for now, but I think, even when you compare this to like a full price like bag, $300+, I really think this is the bag. This is absolutely the bag to get. So that's my review. That's my thoughts on the bag. I hope you enjoy. Please let me know if you have questions, what your thoughts are about it, and yeah, let me know, and happy to answer anything that you got. But I'll see you all next week, and take care and be well. I'm looking forward to a couple weeks of traveling with the family, so hopefully we'll get some opportunities for some interesting vlogs and for some shots that I can share with you. So be well and take care and get outside, and happy holidays to all of you. Take care. Bye-bye.